And a very good afternoon. This time we get to know what's happening in the German Bundesliga and maybe probably some of the latest. And here I'm joined by our colleague from DW station in Berlin, Germany, Tom, who is here with me, Tom Gennoy. A very good afternoon to you. Tom, the Bundesliga champions Bayern Munich have been on an incredible winning streak recently, but they were held this weekend in the capital. What really happened?
On an incredible winning streak, no fewer than 16 wins back-to-back in all competitions for Bayern Munich since the start of the season. And during that streak, they've beaten some big teams. They've beaten Dortmund, they've beaten Chelsea and Leverkusen, and most recently PSG in the Champions League ahead of their clash with Union this weekend. But as you say, that streak was brought to an end here in the German capital. Now, Union Berlin's Stadion an der Alten Försterei is a very tough place to play for away teams, though Bayern have had some successes there before. In fact, this weekend, they were rather fortunate to come away with a draw, though. 2 goals for Union from Danilo Doki. And they were unlucky not to have had a third. Ilyas Ansah, their striker, was judged to have been offside by about a millimetre in the early stages of the game. And if that goal had been given, well, it's difficult to see how Bayern would have managed any result at all. In the end, it was a fantastic individual goal by Luis Diaz and then an equaliser deep into injury time by Harry Kane that rescued a point for Bayern. Now, Union coach Steffen Baumgart said after the game that it felt as if his team had dropped points while his counterpart Vincent Kompany was open in admitting that his team just weren't good enough in the opening stages of that clash. But they're still sitting pretty at the top of the Bundesliga ahead of the international break.
Dropped points away from home against Hamburg. It was a very difficult week for them, wasn't it?
It was indeed a difficult week for Dortmund. Yeah, they were beaten in the Champions League by Man City, demolished, in fact, by the English side, and then held to just a single point in the Bundesliga away from home against newly promoted or newly returned to the Bundesliga, HSV in Hamburg. Now, Dortmund were 1-0 up over long stretches thanks to a goal from Carney Chukwuemeka. And it was the 7th minute of injury time when HSV struck back Ransford Königsdorfer with that late header, rescuing a point for the home team. Now, Dortmund centre-back Nico Schlotterbeck said after the game that if 15 crosses get sent into the box, one of them is going to land in the net. That's exactly how it proved. Dortmund just too passive in that encounter, and that's why they were denied the 3 points.
Tom, lastly, partly on the same in the Bundesliga. Elsewhere, there were also a couple of Bundesliga derbies this weekend. Tell us about these matches.
Yeah, absolutely. So there was one massive derby and one not so huge one. Now, let's start with the massive one. Borussia Mönchengladbach against Köln. That's one of the many Rhine derbies in the various levels of German football, but Gladbach versus Köln is a really bitter encounter. This time around, it was the home team, Borussia Mönchengladbach, who took the bragging rights, their second Bundesliga victory of the season, also their second Bundesliga victory in a row, a 3-1 win for them. So things are certainly picking up for Eugen Polanski's team. Now, elsewhere, the Rhein-Main derby saw Frankfurt take on Mainz, and where Gladbach and Köln is really characterised and coloured by deep acrimony, this one is not quite so fierce. In the end, that was a 1-0 victory for Frankfurt thanks to a goal from Litz Doan, and Mainz, who have been doing so well in international football in the Europa Conference League, continue to struggle badly in the Bundesliga.
Thank you so much, Tom Gennoy, from our partner station, DW in Berlin, German, for the big German Bundesliga update. The teams were really thrashed. It was a bad day in the week. Abakwata, Amapesa, and that's it from Germany. And what maybe 30 things went wrong. Nadanga talking up with Jim Kwevio. So, the big moment, Tom Gennoy from our partner station, DW. wali mu ggwanga erya Germany. Wabula ate obufu nga tukute ennyonyi nga tuyita ku Afro Mobile okulaba biki ebyabadde e Qatar. Bwetyo Uganda yasobola okuba nti yakoze amaliri agasoose mu byafaayo by'omuzannyo gw'omupiira